Hi, I'm Keegan. This is a bunch of gamers. We're back on GM Talks and we're back on politics, and I am joined by Mandy,
Hey everyone.
and we're here to
Here.
talk about well, diversity in games. Maybe probably a bit more in the streaming side of things. Something that is outside of my realm of expertise. So, reached out to see what they had to say. So, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. It's great to be here. Yeah. Audio only is outside of my realm, so maybe we can learn from each other
Yeah,
here.
maybe. I edit, and I'm not very good at it, but I do have a
Hmm.
few people who enjoy the werewolf game, which
Awesome.
is the that meme of the guy going, "I know writers who use subtext, and they're all cowards." Uh,
Oh my
so,
God. That's awesome.
and people still miss it somehow. Uh, but
Yeah.
yeah, well, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Eddie Webb, the creator of Pugmire, and he worked on Werewolf the Apocalypse, Vampire the Masquerade, things like that back in the day.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay,
And
yeah. I think I've seen the name before for sure.
he came on here and he told a story about how he was approached by someone at a con going, "Hey, I really like Werewolf the Apocalypse, but it was so much better before you guys put all that like ecology and like
Ugh,
global warming stuff." And he's like, since the
God forbid we
first
talk about
book,
reality. Yeah.
he's like, since the beginning, the first line in the first book is our mother is dying. uh,
Mm,
but no, so uh, I know you'd put out a call about being able to join games a while ago, and how you wanted to
yeah.
make sure that the cast was diverse. And I have a
Yeah.
suspicion I know the reasoning, but why don't you kind of give us kind of the thought process and the goals
Yeah.
in mind there?
Yeah, absolutely. So, since folks can't see me, not that it helps my case very much, but I am biracial Latin. My father's family is from Costa Rica. I'm also neurodivergent. I'm queer. I'm trans. So if we're calling it checking the boxes, which a lot of people do, I check quite a lot of them. Chronic illness diagnosis to be determined, to be obtained, but I know I have it. So it's, all of these different things, people with disabilities, which chronic illnesses oftentimes are, and things of that nature. Something that white folks, cis white folks, don't have to worry about is finding representation in media that they watch. You have things like Critical Role, though there are diverse aspects to Critical Role. It wasn't in the beginning. There are TV shows and books and music and all of these things that are part of the mainstream that are largely created by and for cis white individuals. And that is typically what we see very saturated in media as a whole. For myself, I would like to see more people like me represented. I want to see queer stories. I want to see trans stories. I want to see the stories of people of color because, despite current political climates, I won't get too deep into that. Um, despite current political climates, you know, there are as many people and types of people as there are colors in the spectrum. And I think everybody deserves to be represented, regardless of who you are, what you do, how you identify. I think that being able to see media that I wanted to see as a child is important for, you know, maybe the future of actual plays, the future of TTRPGs. And that's why representation is so important. So it's a very long winded way of saying, why is it important? What is my goal? I want to make what I want to see in the world. And I think that that's something everyone should think about, regardless of their background.
For sure, and it's it's where some really great games have come from. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Harlem Unbound.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. Hmm.
yeah, Coyote and Crow, like those are excellent
Yep.
stories, and I've been mulling this over. It's not the topic of this video, but it's a mulling over of the strange dichotomy, right? Of as the hobby grows, as it should,
Hmm.
the good of bringing in more diverse voices is definitely very important. But then you also deal with the hyper capitalization of the hobby that also comes with that, and where's the balance point, sort of thing. But I don't think. But that's a
Yeah.
everyone's kind of like question thing. That's more existential than I think an hour long
Oh,
podcast is
completely.
going to cover.
Completely. And I feel as though like if we were to delve into the capitalism bit, I'll just touch on it very briefly. That's something that I think no one fully has the answer to yet. How do we make things? How do we put things out? How do we create things to build that media to serve that purpose, short of offering it for free and digitally on the internet? So that's something that I think is going to become more and more of a topic as things go on. But I think it all ties into really every side of the hobby, whether it's actually just a hobby or something you do professionally.
Agreed. And I like I said, I have different thoughts about it, and but
Mhm.
kind of like there's a place for open source games for
Oh
sure,
yeah,
and
absolutely.
there's a place for making money because as I've said to others before, you can't actually eat principles as nice as that would be.
I
Uh,
wish.
is
I'd never work again.
right is is this thing where it's less about the games. Actually, I think people are okay to buy individual books and things like that, like even when it's free. I'm more than happy to put funds towards like a basic fantasy RPG as an example, where it's
Yeah.
some dude who open sources his games and goes,
Mhm.
hey, it's Creative Commons, here's a donate thing kind of thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But it gets interesting when you see the things like the fancy things, the dice towers, the things like that, and how that's
Mhm.
market. That's the part that I think is the
Yeah.
reckoning side,
Yeah,
more
for
so
sure.
than anything else. But no, when
Hmm.
we talk about it, like there's the Dungeons and Dragons, is which is not controversial in any way, shape, or form. Of course, is
I should
is
have muted myself for that laugh. Oh my god.
is is an interesting case study in that, because D&D I think is the one where we see some of the more hyper capitalism aspects, but also they are one that is trying in some ways through art and things like that to at least engage with queer folk. I think it does worse when reaching out to people of color, but that's not my wheelhouse. It's just from what I've heard, right? The queer one is more my
Absolutely,
wheelhouse,
absolutely.
so
Yes, absolutely. Like a great recent example of this was people getting like so upset about showing a same-sex wedding art for Dungeons and Dragons, official Dungeons and Dragons art. Play your game how you want to play it, and it was showing a presenting same-sex couple getting married. So many people got so mad about that. It's absolutely wild to me. If you don't want, love and romance and whatever, regardless of who it's between in your game, there's nothing wrong with that.
yeah, exactly. And an example from the audio only actual play actually is I have several named trans characters who show up, and they show up a
Mhm.
couple episodes in because we played the game for about a year before actually recording it, sort of thing.
Oh wow,
Is
okay.
is that character, one of those characters doesn't come back until like maybe 6 episodes in, and sometimes I'll see a spike in a watching of my first episode that came out 8 years ago.
Oh my goodness.
And they they'll pop in, and you'll see like a subscriber go up after the first episode, and then I wait about 6 7 days and I watch that number go down. I'm like, ah,
Mhm.
yes, I know who you
Oh
were.
boy.
And it's
Yeah.
always that.
And it's
And
the audience you don't really want or care about.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. Like I've had to delete comments because I had Mundis on, and she is working
Ugh.
on the Werewolf the Essentials fan
Mhm.
project, and she's
Mhm.
trans, and I saw the transphobic stuff. I'm like, all right, you're out of here, champ. And
Yeah. Oh my
like,
goodness. Yeah. It's really a never-ending battle. How polarizing it seems to be that people can't just leave other people alone. I mean, if I could give you a number of how many times I've been unfollowed for my platform in general, I would say double that is the folks who follow me because of what I have to say about about those kinds of things. It's wild. Like
it's actually
it costs nothing to leave people alone and let
right,
them do what they want.
exactly. And
Yeah.
I've mentioned this before to others, and I'm curious, how familiar are you with the World of Darkness? Um,
I would say I'm a little bit newer.
okay.
but I have played Hunter. I have played VTMV5. I'm kind of current on new. I do
Okay,
have plans of being in a werewolf game
nice.
soon. So yeah, I
Oh,
love
very
World of
cool.
Darkness. I've done, since we're on the topic, I guested at Darkness Emergent Chicago.
Oh, very cool.
Was that 2 years ago now or a year ago now? I can't
Oh,
even. Time is
yeah,
flying
time
by.
time is an
Um,
illusion.
but I
Uh,
got to be a member of the court, and that was my first time doing VTM LARPing.
oh,
I
very
got to be
cool.
a prominent NPC right off the bat, and I was like, "Oh, this is gonna spoil me for life." So yeah, I love World of Darkness. Big fan.
No, and I've always found it very interesting. So, because D&D did start from a very right wing position,
Yeah.
it,
Mhm.
it's essentially a Wild West setting with a medieval setting kind of slapped on paint job
Oh
of
yeah.
you doing colonialism essentially on all the original
Mhm.
stuff. And the
Colonialism, the game.
yeah, yeah. There's ways around it. It's hard, but
Oh,
it's
for sure.
doable. Like, cause I like OSR games. The
Oh,
simplicity and
same.
things like that. But the evolution of the fan base specifically
Mhm.
being far more openly left wing versus World of Darkness, which did start from, to be fair, very East Coast liberal, white liberal
Yeah.
point, but liberal position.
Yeah.
But the fan base is in many ways kind of
Weirdly, right.
conservative, weirdly
Yeah.
conservative. It's such a and now I understand that this art can hold multiple messages and things like that within it. Good examples, the Werewolf Fifth controversy that I've covered, where I had
Mhm.
James Sobrano on here talking about their experience with Paradox and things like that. But the
Right.
and the one that they brought up that was very important was is yes, the cultural ties to the werewolf tribes in the older editions were problematic and they absolutely
Oh yeah.
needed to be overhauled, and that's why they were writing the two brother tribes, because they are indigenous and they were trying to
Right.
like bring that sort of respect, and that's expensive. That gets back to the capitalist aspect to bring true
Yeah.
representation. So they
Mhm.
remove the cultural aspects of the tribes, but because of that, in a lot of ways, right, the default culture becomes white American or European
Yep.
centric culture,
Yep.
along with all the other problematic things that they dropped in their Patreon post about the dickery of one head editor who I believe is still there.
Yes. I would say like I haven't, so unfortunately for werewolves specifically, I don't own that book.
Yeah, sure. No, I get
Paradox, hit me up, send me more free stuff. I would like to read
it.
the werewolf book.
Oh, you don't want
Um
them to know you've been here. I've been kind of critical.
Well, I think being critical is important, right?
Oh,
Like
for sure.
I am sure I'm moving a little bit off topic here, but we're two
That's
people with
okay.
ADHD
We're
on this
it's gonna yeah,
on
it's
this
it
podcast. So
happens. It don't trust me. I
I'm
talked about the Russian Revolution with Matthew Dawkins when he was trying to promote his game. Like it's
Mhm.
gonna happen.
For how much I've done, and I don't want to like put myself up on a pedestal because I'm not a huge creator, nor do I want to be. So I'll preface with that. But I'm sure I'm on a blacklist for Wizards of the Coast somewhere because I have been very critical of them from the OGL debacle onwards. And I was critical of them even before that, but some of my threads when the first OGL controversy came through were super duper viral. So I'm sure I'm on a blacklist somewhere. So who knows for that
Yeah.
specifically. So I get it. I get it.
No, I get it.
But
I've actually
that's how
seen my.
things get better. That's how people get heard
Oh
is
yeah, for
you can't
sure.
just, say nothing.
It is an interesting thing. And I do like the more diverse actual plays. I'm not a huge actual play person myself, typically,
Yeah.
but I do
That's
like the
fair.
ones that are more diverse, have a more different ideas, I guess.
Yeah.
Playing with those ideas, because I think I think I saw and it was an older one, a Horror on the Orient Express that someone ran,
Mm,
and it was actually a very diverse cast where they were all getting into it and
interesting.
kind of playing on each other, that I thought was quite good.
I'd be curious. Maybe we'll talk about it after. I'd be curious about that one. But I agree. Like it. Here's how I like to frame it. Generally, to my white family members who are very difficult to talk to about anything like this, is I'll say, okay, because they go, what's up with this diversity thing? I don't understand. Why do we need that? These are people who voted for Trump. That's why I don't talk to them very often. I and I'll say, listen, here's the thing to think about. Do you or do you not think that traveling and seeing the world and people who aren't people in your hometown is a good, enriching experience? Oh, yeah, of course. Travel's great. It really cultures you, this, that, and the other. Where do you think those cultures come from? Well, it depends on where you go. Yeah? Okay. Well, let's think about this. White people don't have culture. They only have appropriated culture. That's where that comes from. Our long, long, long hundreds and thousands of years ago, predecessors were people of color, by and large. And when that shifted, all of that culture got appropriated. And I'm being very, very vague and broad here. Google it if you don't believe me or want to prove me wrong. Go ahead and Google it. But a lot of the things that we know today as culture aren't from anybody but people of color.
Yeah, I think that is true, especially in America. Because
Especially in America.
because how I've described it, right, is I do things because my mother is German, came over from Germany, and there are distinct things I do that Americans are like, what? Right? So there is culture, but it's not white culture because white is not really an ethnicity, it's a class. And so when we talk about that, it is, no, I understand the German cultural roots, but German isn't necessarily white. There are people of color Germans in Germany. There are people of color Irish, which is the other half of my family lineage, who do that, right? And now Irish culture is an interesting thing because it has evolved in America because it was separate for a little while and then kind of got scrubbed and things like that into various, kitschy things, and with the help of Robert E. Howard, kind of white supremacy stuff on occasion. But more importantly, right, is that there is no white culture. There's ethnic culture from those roots, and that's the problem with American culture, because American culture was very much like, what can we appropriate specifically to turn a profit?
Exactly. And it gets really sticky when you talk about these things because, like many people, and really this doesn't matter what your origins are, people really cling to the labels that they have. I mean, I did so at the top of this call. So we really use those kinds of things to find community, to feel like we have a sense of belonging in the world. And when those kinds of things are challenged, that's where emotions get high. And then having like philosophical, calm, even keeled back and forth conversations about these kinds of things, whether it's a debate or a conversation or just, listening to each other complain about whatever the case might be, it makes it really hard to talk about these topics. You get a lot of hate for talking about this kind of thing, even if you are being as constructively critical as possible or merely relating your own your own experiences and things that you've seen and things that you've done, and talking about how you feel about those things. People feel attacked by that kind of thing. So it's really tough. It's really sticky to talk about in general, really.
Yeah, well, and part of it is because even some of those corporatized quote unquote traditions, right, that really just came into existence in like the 1960s, 1950s, whatever you have, people will have memories with family members that are no longer with them.
Yep.
And so it's that hard thing, right, where you can be critical of the origin, but you can hold space for the fact that you and your family enjoy it because it had meanings outside of that origin for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, a big thing is my dad loves Thanksgiving, and, know all the terrible stuff about it, right? And it's multifaceted, too, because the South...
it's a tough one.
Because the South didn't want Thanksgiving to be a thing because they thought it was a northern holiday that was about an emancipation, and... It's actually why sweet potato pie exists, which is a shame because potato pie is delicious, and
It is super good.
it is, but it's these multifaceted things, and it's this. I know everyone hates to hear it, and they probably, especially someone who presents like me and sounds like me, but it is a multifaceted issue of trying to like understand and grapple with a nuance on the topic and having actual media literacy where like you can actually just, as long as some horrible person like J.K. Rowling isn't alive to profit off of it, like you
Right.
can and you will like problematic art. All art is problematic. I like a lot of the old D&D adventures. I do legwork when I run them because I have to pull out the things I do like about it and try and leave behind the things that I don't, but it's going to be imperfect. Again,
Yeah.
my example of my actual play game, it started in 2018. I think the first recording came out in 2019. I'd have to go
Wow.
back and look.
Yeah.
And like I evolved through that. Of course I did. It's been going on for over half a decade.
Yeah.
And there are
Absolutely.
aspects that I'm proud of for the earlier episodes, but there are parts I'm like, good thing we retconned that silently as we, went along because you know better and you do better, sort of thing.
Yeah. Like a big to your point, like a big part of my platform is trying to be as inclusive as I possibly can. And a lot of that came from a period of time where I did play on all white casts because those were my friends. We had nothing to do in 2020. That was how I started streaming actual plays. And prior to that, I've been a streamer for damn near a decade at this point. Sorry, we're allowed to curse on this.
I have said the word fuck, I think, within the first
Oh,
10 seconds of a recording before.
okay, great. So I forgot to ask you that at the beginning. So I've been a streamer for a long time. I previously have done art streaming is most of what I've done historically. And I played with my friends who happen to be white. And the first couple of games I did were all white casts. And it was just because they were my friends and it was at home. And then I got to thinking about it and talking to other people of color, and I had the realization of like, oh my God, I'm guilty of like not doing my part to expand my horizons and have more people, like more representation in my games. And so when those games ended, you know, uh, I don't I don't owe anybody any answers or anything, but it was more of like okay, moving forward, I said this to myself, moving forward, I would like more representation in my games, whatever that means. Whether I'm playing with other biracial people, which would be people that probably generally look a little bit more like me, or just other people of color in general, regardless of, how diverse their own origins are, queer people, etc. And a lot of it was, it was like a journey. Like you have to learn over time. I think there's always room for people to pivot and do better. And I don't hide the fact that that was how I started because I didn't think about those things 5 years ago. I think about those things now. So yeah, I think there's always space for growth and learning, and I think that's okay. Like I played with a lot of like the Greyhawk crowd on Twitch, Lord Gasimba specifically. And I know over time he kind of picked things out that, weren't really okay, especially when he started doing like all femme presenting games and things like that. So yeah, food for thought
No,
for
and
the
I
people
think I
listening.
think that's good, and I don't envy uh, streamers specifically because you have your face attached to it, and this is a journey we all make if as we
Yeah.
we improve through life, right? But
Yeah.
you have a public record of it with your face associated with it, which is,
Mhm.
in my experience, and from what I've seen from some others, is that's easier to get entrenched in the old ways because it's a great way to bring up the psychological defense mechanisms.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like they'll see a game that's people of color, randoms on the internet. They won't even watch it and they'll comment to be like, "Why is this all girls? This is stupid. I'm not going to watch this." And it's like, "Okay." Like, "All right, dude, whatever."
It always fascinates me. I can't. I think it was the YouTuber Foreigner in a Foreign Land who said it best. It was like those men hate women. You don't understand. They're not gay, but they love men and they hate women. Because, like, nothing speaks like, oh, no, I need to see nothing but men in my escapist fantasy. How can I enjoy myself otherwise? And it's like, what?
Yeah. It's like, okay, first of all, enjoy the homoeroticism of that notion, first and foremost. Secondly, like, who hurt you?
Like,
I just wanna shake these people on the internet. Who hurt you? And how can I help you move forward from this? Who hurt you? Like, just open your eyes. It costs you nothing to not be a dick, frankly.
right? I had a great comment, and it was very cute. They're just like, my friend Tyler's playing his character Kyle, and I have our NPC Steven, who is a Crinosporn, which I use to replace the more problematic term from older werewolf games, who is an albino homeless man who kills cops on the regular to help the homeless people. Yeah, that's his thing. And it's like, I love their dynamic. When are they gonna kiss and be a couple? And my friend Tyler went, well, Steven is very cool, but there is the litany involved, so I don't know. It'd be more of a forbidden love at that point. And it was incredible.
That's so cute. That's me in every TTRPG game. The folks at home, you couldn't see or hear it, but I was clapping. Something I love to do in my games is that meme of the dog pushing two little toys together and they're
Yes.
smooching. I just want my friends to kiss. I'm sad this isn't visual because you can't see the goofy motions I'm making right now. But like the pushing the two dolls together. Now, Kith.
Yes.
Every game.
My old roommate, she called me the Admiral because I would just ship everything. Like, kiss it now, done, ship it.
Ship everything. Maybe that's the new topic of today's podcast.
Right.
We're shifting from politics. We're moving on to ships.
All relationships are political.
That's true.
So we're not shifting from the topic at all. In fact, it's hard for me, right? Because I try and present a diverse world. And so I've got to do, especially because I'm putting my stuff out there. Like, it's a small audience, but it's still an audience. And so I got to make sure that I just, I know I fucked up in the past. There's no way around that. But, the trying to do better thing is that, because I did use the old problematic names for the two indigenous tribes starting out. And then I slowly switched it to the brother tribes and then changed the spirits and things like that to kind of get around that. But yeah, it was... there are political relationships because of it, and it's actually kind of like, when you really think about it, and that's why I actually would have preferred, me personally, the diversity of cultures associated with tribes and werewolves specifically, because it puts the politics a little more up front, and if you actually spent the money, which I know Paradox has the money to do, you pay those people to add that cultural stuff respectfully. You're not going to make everyone in that culture happy, but fuck, man, you ain't going to make everyone happy regardless. And you actually make it so that you do your college try and, to make that diverse audience you claim you want.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a tough one, especially when it comes to anything that might have indigenous roots. If you don't say something about it and, the history of it and the respect for it and provide tools on how to treat these topics with respect as part of your book, it doesn't need to be long. Just give us a page, one page. Just one. I don't know if there's anything like that in the current Werewolf the Apocalypse. Like I said, I have not read those books, so everybody out there, don't get mad at me because I'm literally operating blind. But if we can speak generally to teach RPGs, if it's not made by Indigenous people and you don't at least have an Indigenous consultant and you don't say those things or provide tools of okay, you want to do it this way? Here's where you can go to learn more about how to do this in a respectful way. Or here's tools to do this to match it better to your culture so that you're not accidentally appropriating. If you don't at least dedicate a couple of paragraphs to half a page at most, or not even at most, a page at least for these things, then I think it's really tough to have that kind of topic in a game.
Yeah, and... Yeah, and for Werewolf specifically, you cannot divorce it from indigeneity. The roots of it are just there, even with the whole overhaul. There's
Yeah.
some stuff about diversity. Actually, when I did a very very long talk with James Sembrano and Josh Heath, both of them who have worked on Werewolf books, and James, who was part of the previous writing team of Werewolf Fifth before the reboot debacle, that you can see in his Patreon post for anyone listening who hasn't read that yet, is the consultants actually do write a part of it, and it is, I think, to me, the most earnestly written part of the book. It is an incredible piece of writing. My only thing is, and I've learned this from James actually, is I've come to agree that consultants is sometimes really just put up as a shield, because you can ignore what the consultant says, but you can still say we consulted someone from this culture on this book. And so the best route any game can take is actually hiring people of any culture they are trying to include, solely so that they get them involved. And that's expensive, and I know a lot of smaller companies can't do that. And so consult where you can and be respectful, obviously. But like I said, for a Wizards of the Coast, a Paradox, a Modifius, even, like they have the background capital to actually do it right. It's just my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. So yeah, I mean, it's I feel like it's a surprisingly simple concept. We've already gotten through a lot of it in 30 minutes. So I guess, do you have any like questions or anything from your
Yeah.
viewers on this topic that I can help with?
So I don't think I have anything for my viewers, excuse me. But I do have some questions actually. So when getting into the more diverse things and things like that, what do you consider? How do you want to represent yourself? Because in some ways, right, or and then also for maybe even your home games that you don't stream, how do you try and include diverse opinions that are not your own? Because a game can only encompass so many people, right? But a world encompasses all people. How do you go about kind of trying to do that respectfully, both on stream and off stream?
Yeah, absolutely. So sadly, currently, because scheduling is the BBEG, I don't have a home game right now. All of my games are actual plays and podcasts and things of that nature. But I can speak to how I like to run games. For myself, I make them people of color centric. Do I include people who might be white presenting? Sometimes, but usually in my fantasy world, it's mostly people of color. That's the majority. Most people are queer in my worlds. A lot of people, I try to have, diversity in like different levels of ability as well. Those who might be disabled and those who aren't. I think I might be incapable of making a character that's not neurodivergent because I'm ADHD. So those are the kinds of things I like to do. Not only do I start with who's sitting at the table, because I think that's the most important starting point, but I also consider the world they live in and the world they want to live in. Most people that I choose to play with in terms of, folks who are people of color or are queer, they're like, yeah, I don't want any no hetero. Get rid of it. Everybody's queer. Or I want trans representation in my game. Make me an NPC that's like this, or I'll listen to my players too. And as far as like people sitting at the table, this is something that comes up a lot. Is a lot of people are like, I don't want to play in a game unless it's at least 50% POC, which is very easy to say, but it's a little bit of a sticky subject to put a quota on your games. And I think the main thing that's important to consider if you're looking to get into actual plays, podcasts, whether it's visual or not, is just make sure you're not tokenizing anyone. If you invite one black person to your table just because you want a bit of color, quote unquote, and everybody else is white, that's not going to work. That doesn't work, because then if you're alienating that person, singling them out like that. even if you swap that out for a Latin person or an Asian person or whatever the case might be. So you also have to think of those kinds of things. So I think find a balance that works for you. And if you're looking to get into actual plays and you're wanting to broadcast, this is something where people get mad at me. You want to broadcast your game that you play with your friends, look at your table. Are all of your friends white? First of all, ask yourself why. Second of all, don't make an actual play. I won't gatekeep people or send them hate mail or tell them to never do a thing. But if you're wanting to stream your home game and it's all white people, you're contributing to the problem directly. So think about the repercussions when you do things like this for public consumption.
Sure. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the book Racism Without Any Racists.
No, I can't say I have.
It's
I'll have to look it
it's
up.
I unfortunately the best place to get it is the Kindle store because the hard copy is like $120
Oh
and the
no.
Kindle version's like 10. So
Wow. Okay.
because yeah, I don't know why. At least last time I
Probably
tried
out
to
of
buy
print.
it. It
Yeah.
might be there's multiple editions as well because it is used almost academically as well. But it's someone talking about how he calls it colorblind racism, where you don't have to actively do any sort of racism, things like that. And his one that was interesting is him asking college students, working class people, and things like that, do you believe you grew up in a segregated neighborhood? And most white people
Oh.
said they did not. And it's like, how many black people were in your neighborhood? And they couldn't really come up with numbers and things like that. And um,
Yeah.
it yeah, really breaks it down and how he explains those structures and why and how they're segregated and how we come up with new justifications for that segregation sort of thing. And then he points to South America and Brazil specifically as where he sees the American racial caste system going, which is kind of interesting. Great book, but that's something for listeners to think of in and
Yeah.
outside of game, I guess, is do you think you live in a segregated neighborhood? And
And
like,
the answer is you probably do,
and the answer is you
unfortunately.
probably do. So
Yeah.
it is structural as to why you don't have any people of color friends, probably. The
Yeah.
other one was I don't know who this came from specifically, and I apologize, but it was someone asking people if they had any people of color friends, and they said, yeah, and in school I had lots and things like that. And as life went on, they noticed their friend group dwindling, but it usually became monoracial. And it was like, did you ever think it was because of your job, because you stay friends with the people you're close, you're in closer proximity to, and jobs and schools, or schools specifically bring everyone in a general region, while jobs kind of self-select and things like that. So it is it's important, right? Like you got to the point of you can't tokenize. It is
Yeah.
you should go to several local game stores in different parts of your town and try and just be in community with people to talk about cool games. I guarantee, as we're talking, right, people of color are going to love games. They're going to have takes on games that you don't have because you don't have those experiences, and that becomes a dialogue. And
Yeah.
it's it's kind of that, and that goes for streaming and outside of the games. And I think the internet has really helped get people in touch
Yeah.
with people outside of their normal circles, but the different types of games too. Because
Yeah.
I just ran my
Absolutely.
first in person game since
Ooh,
May, I think.
awesome.
And it is a different experience, and it's a great and all the memories of how to do it came flooding back because I usually run games at Gen Con actually,
Oh
and
yeah, I've run games at Gen Con as well.
yeah,
That's awesome.
I do it with the Wrecking Crew, so I'll be doing some Dungeon Crawler Carl
Nice.
RPG this year for those looking forward to that. But
So,
they are it, and I love Gen Con specifically because it is an organic, like there's still a class aspect of it because it's fucking
oh, for
expensive,
sure.
like
Hmm.
but because there are just so many people that you get this just explosion of diverse opinions and backgrounds that really helps you kind of like fine tune, not just refine tune your expectations of who a gamer is, but also like fine tunes, your skills, I would say, as a game master and as a player.
Absolutely. And to your point about I'm definitely going to look up that book because this is a topic I've talked about quite a bit is the colorblind racism. It's racism that people don't think is racism, which is the unfortunate part of things, and I swear I'm getting to the melting pot aspect of things. But that is something I think many people who are white or white presenting fall into because they think it's the answer to not being racist. They think that not seeing color is the answer to being considered not a racist. And the fact of the matter is, if you don't see those things, then you can't honor or consider those things. And that just further reinforces inherent racism that is put on all of us by society, especially in America, um, by our government, by the way, it's not a formal caste system, but we're pretty much there. It's classism. It's all of those things. There's psychological studies on how people of color are treated in the workforce, which further explains why your neighborhoods are segregated, even if it's not formally segregated, why you lose those people of color friends from your childhood, not just because you fall out of touch with them, but because you move on in life and you move on to different aspects. And if you're a white person, you're already steps ahead of people of color when you move into the workforce, when you move into the professional world. Once again, getting back to feeding the capitalism machine. Um, and then when you go to these spaces, Gen Con, PAX Unplugged, which is this weekend, all of those things, you get to see that there are more spaces that include more people that you might not necessarily know. I challenge each and every one of you the next time you go to a RPG convention, board game convention, anything like that, go meet people of color. Go meet people who are trans. Go meet anyone who is obviously or is somehow displaying that they are disabled. Go to panels that talk about viewpoints that aren't your viewpoint and just listen. Reach out to other people because if you want to not be that guy, and if I would hope that if you're listening to this podcast, you don't want to be that guy, listen to what other people have to say, listen to their life experiences. And moving back to the melting pot thing, not only do people of color gravitate towards certain games, they gravitate towards the same games you do. And not even just that, looking for games made by people of color. God Killer is a really good example of this. Have players who are people of color because they're going to approach a character in a way a white person never could because they don't have the same life experiences or traumas or any of those things that other people would have, people who aren't people of color. So it's just something to consider. All I ask people to do is to consider the experiences of others, and that's it.
And if you are that guy listening, thank you for your comment. It has been deleted. Thank you for the engagement. I appreciate it. Uh, God Killers, though, I'm not familiar with that game. Could you kind of just give me a rundown of that? Because I'm actually kind of interested.
Yeah, so if you've never heard of Connie Chong, let this be your introduction to them. God Killer was a kind of like a God Killer First Blood was like a play test version that I actually have and I plan on playing soon, but it got picked up by Evil Hat Games. So they will be I think they're doing playtesting this weekend at PAX U about it. I think I saw Connie posting about it. But it's Holy Punk. It's a 2-player game. The GM is God and the player is God Killer. It's epic. And even the early version is really, really rich in the kinds of lore that you can build off of. But a lot of it comes from a perspective of a scholar in racial topics. I've gone to a lot of Connie Chong's talks at like Big Bad Con and things like that. But it's anti-Orientalist. I think I said that word right. And obviously race and all of these things are considered, gender is considered, all of these things, because that is who created the game. So yeah, definitely worth looking into if you're looking for something spicy and different to play.
That does sound fun. It unfortunately has a little Orientalism, but I am a big fan of Exalted as a world. And
Oh
I've
yeah.
talked to the developers, and they said, we kept some of it in. We know it's problematic, but it feels like the setting wouldn't be the setting without it. But they have hired multiple people of color, and specifically from the cultures they pull from. But that's actually a great example of starting with good intentions, poor implementations for like the first edition sort of thing, where the default isn't white in Exalted. The default is Asian, Black, Pacific Islander in a lot of ways. Because really, the white people are in the north, and there's 4 quadrants plus the central island as a really good example of that. And the art really kind of did that well enough so that I was actually very proud to be an Exalted fan in when the third edition was starting to come out, and they're showing some of the artwork, and everyone got really mad that they lightened up one of the signature characters. Like his skin tone got lighter, and
Oof.
yeah, and everyone was like,
Yeah, that's
"Hey,
an
what the
established character. That's
fuck?"
messed up.
Yeah, what
Yeah.
the fuck? And
Mm.
apparently, it is a thing where they went, yeah, we kept talking to the artist, and they kept not getting it, and so they removed it. They fixed it finally. It's actually an interesting one with one of the more problematic characters in Old Werewolf. Actually, there's a character who's supposed to be half indigenous who joins the younger brother tribe, and very problematic kind of story, but he's incredibly white in all the art,
Oof.
which goes against his descriptions in the books. And they're like, yeah, they took the he's half white and really ran with that. He's supposed to also be half indigenous, and there's a problem where, at least especially early on, RPG writers just, or not writers, I'm sorry, RPG artists
Mm.
just could not get that. And that's a another one for people who make books. Make sure you hire diverse artists as well.
Yes. Or at least hire artists who know how to draw diverse individuals.
Yeah, right.
And don't use AI. Please,
Don't
for
use
love of
AI.
God.
Yeah. Someone else talked about this, the anger of trying to actually make quote unquote evil races more diverse in their
Yeah.
thought processes. Because yeah, there can be evil examples of a species, a fantasy species like orcs or things like that. There should be evil orcs, but there should be good orcs too. It's just like people, right? You should have both, and it's just this weird thing. I agree with one assessment that they did a very good job with orcs, but Wizards of the Coast kind of dropped the ball with drow because they're like, actually, they're good drow. Are we going to get any examples? There are good drow. Here's the one city that is no longer indicative of drow culture, but it's all the
Yeah.
bad stuff from previous editions.
The one city and the one major character.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a little bit rough because like I just feel that if it's not a monster, like fully a monster, like Trask,
Yeah.
if it's not a monster, there needs to be a spectrum of what you can be. You can't just lock sentient people, individuals into like one alignment or the other.
Yeah. Yeah, you can kind of get close with like maybe illithids because they are literally just they're sentient, but their brain works in a completely different way. Like, hey, we
Yeah.
have to be parasites. We need
Hmm.
to take people to parasites for us to continue, and
Hmm.
we have to eat human brains. So we're
Yep.
going to put like that's the closest you can get where it's
Yeah.
just like they're a creature that works differently because its brain is different. It's
Yeah.
intelligent, it's sentient, but they also don't have the option to being a vegetarian illithid. Like
Yeah, true.
you can do things like that where you make them sentient but
But that's a
alien.
typically non-playable monster
Oh, for sure,
race.
for
That's
sure.
that's where I think people lose the nuance. That's the number one thing in these debates is people just cannot grasp the nuance of of the topic.
Yeah.
So like for that it makes sense. Also, let's be real, illithids are very like white coated from what
Yes.
I've seen at least.
They,
If I'm wrong, somebody please let me know where I can find resources on
they
that.
they might be British coded actually, which would be very funny.
Yeah.
Yes,
That was where I was leaning towards.
it is nuanced, and I think it would be interesting to play even those non playable characters sometimes as being nuanced and sort of like
Yeah.
xenofiction, I guess, because
Yeah.
the xenofiction aspect of D&D, I think, allows us to kind of like, in some way, not escape coding, but kind of turn it on its head, I guess.
Mm.
If that makes sense. It might not.
Yeah, definitely.
But no, do you have any kind of other kind of thoughts on the diversity? What What are things you'd like to see in the space? Actually, let's go with that question. What would you like to? Where would you like to see the space go, both in streaming and in the actual books?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'd just like to see more RPG publishers use consultants that are from the cultures that they write about or are inspired by. Even if you just hire them to read through certain sections and either okay it or make suggestions on what to adjust. I think it's worth the money. And a lot of consultants, especially ones that are in the smaller sphere, might be willing to do the same kind of work for less to help smaller companies. I've heard of that happening. I'm not going to guarantee that, but like explore those options. Be mindful. What I'd like to see in the space in general is when I look through YouTube or Spotify or Twitch, I want to see more varieties of people. And right now, it's not there. We are not there as a space. And we're never going to be there if we spend all of our time blaming one another for the state of the space. So get out there and actually do the thing. Don't contribute to the problem. Like I said, I'm not going to gatekeep. I'm not going to show up on your stream and say that you're a horrible streamer. I'm just not going to watch your content if I look at your thumbnails and it's four white dudes at a table. Not interested. A lot of people don't care about that anymore. The world is moving on, and so should the space. So that's pretty much where I'm at with that.
Makes perfect sense to me. So, Mandii, where would you like to be found on the internet if you so wish to be found by folks?
Yeah, absolutely. My name is the same everywhere, all over the internet. It's the Mandii, TheMandii, all over the internet. You can find me at themandii.card.co if you want to see all of my actual plays, appearances, guest appearances, games that I've GM'd, my artwork. All of those things are available through my card page. Follow me on Twitch. Thanks. Bye.
Wonderful. Thank you. I've been Keegan. This is A Bunch of Gamers. You can find us on YouTube, Podbean, Facebook, Blue Sky, but you'll never find me on Twitter. I founded a cesspool, and I was proven right. Thank you, everyone.